Absolutely. We've got Horace Till in the studio with us, Judge Joe Brown, the unlikely candidate. And I think he has some questions for you. So I'll go to him, let him present his questions, and then give you time to address 1, 2, or 3 questions, if you will, sir. Go ahead, Horace.
Thank you so much. So actually the question that I am formulating, but let me digress from that question because the comment that was just stated, the black agenda. If you would, can you expound on that? Because I'm sure all of us as black men, we have an idea what is meant by black agenda. And subsequently, what happens to that black agenda? Are we fearful of implementing what we believe to be the black agenda? Or are we so concerned with a non-functioning black agenda, as in it's not going to be homogenous to all black people?
And that's for Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dr. Umar Johnson.
Yes, indeed. Number one, the black agenda, in many respects, mirrors the five-headed monster that we're fighting. Miseducation, that means we have to have our own educational system. Gentrification, we have to have our own real estate and community protection system. Police genocide, we got to have our own community defense system. Access to wealth, we have to have our own economic empowerment and financial opportunity system. Mass incarceration, we have to have our own criminal justice system, a culturally based system whereby our elders, through a council of elders, can mediate conflicts between black folks so we don't have to go to the white man's court, i.e. child support in custody court, because family court is destroying. The white man's family court is literally destroying the relationship between black men and black women. With that being said, the black agenda, whether you're rich, whether you're working class, college educated, or poor, should remain the same, because those 5 things are relevant to you no matter how much money or education that you have. Number 2, the reason why the black agenda is in the condition that it's in is because it has been controlled and dictated and held hostage by the NAACP, the Urban League, the Congressional Black Caucus, black politicians, the black church, i.e. the black bourgeoisie. As long as the black bourgeoisie are going to be the custodians of the black agenda, then the black agenda will always be up for sale to the highest bidder.
All right. I'll make a quick comment and then go to Judge. You know, Marcus Garvey said that many years ago, Dr. Johnson, that the NAACP was designed to destroy anything that black people were attempting to do. Judge Joe Brown, I want to go to you. I want you to discuss economic development as we have proceeded to do. And while you're at it, respond to the previous question. Go ahead, sir.
All right. I'm in Atlanta right now. I'm here on some business.
Yes.
And I'm looking at 3 black communities, 3 separate black communities. There is the one you see popularly on Atlanta Housewives.
Yeah.
There is a mass of black people who aren't doing so well. Some are doing well, and they have a totally different agenda. And then there's a 3rd black agenda that seems to be thriving. That is the black gay agenda. It's Atlanta. And they look like they've got a coherent thing going on. And the housewife thing with the social circle around that looks like it does too, but the one that looks like it would be something for mainstream black folk does not. And the agenda, I think, is kind of nebulous, because what is the agenda supposed to be? Now, if you took the one I had, it would be kind of ruthless and kind of violent and imposed.
Like what, for instance?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying some of the things I would impose would not be liked by many, and I wouldn't give people choices if I had my say-so. Cleaning up the black neighborhoods, cleaning up the black lifestyle, enforcing certain things, certain edicts, and enforcing certain demands. But one thing we have to do is, this world, since the middle of the last ice age, has been tied up in commerce and trade. It's interactive. And if we want to get someplace, we've got to get away from the social sciences and get into science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, STEM. That's like the dot-com revolution, like you see all of the iScience stuff. That's where the market is not flooded because things have not occurred yet, so there's no market. There's a market for them when they occur, but there's nobody glutting the market and trying to satisfy the demand because these things have yet to be invented. We've got to start inventing some things, and we've got some smart youth. If you go to the Science Channel, you can see some very, very intelligent, beautiful black women are into science. You can see some very intelligent black men who are into these sciences. They work for NASA. They work for themselves. They do great things, but we don't even put them out for the kids to ideate in. They don't look like they're alien. If you walk down the street, ladies, you might turn around and look at them. And the guys look like they can fit in, and they talk just like everybody else talks, but we don't push this. We all talk about setting up a business in something where the market is glutted, where you want to set up a corner grocery, but you got Kroger. You want to set up a gas station. What are you going to do with that? You got to get in with Exxon, BP, or Gulf, or something like that, or Shell. You want to set up something else, you got to fit into a market that's already glutted, and people have been in it so long that they've got huge amounts of capital they can throw at anything, and they can outlast you, outspend you, out advertise. We've got to get off into adventuring and developing something. I don't even like the man, but Booker T. Washington said you needed to develop a work ethic. W.E.B. Du Bois, who I do like for some of his thoughts, he said you've got to start using your head and outsmarting your adversary. You need to get talented 10th and bootstrap up the race, but the talented 10th is running somewhere else and scared to rock the boat. I practiced law for a long time, but I'm rather disappointed with the young black lawyers. They are all about money. They won't take a case for a cause. And most of the black lawyers I grew up around and about, or I was exposed to in my formative years, we all were about this thing that we have an obligation to use what we know to advance the race. And I don't see that anymore.
Okay.
And I see a thing, too, where we lack balls. You've got to have cojones. You've got to be willing to take a risk for something.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be willing to put it on the line, but we all have this thing about everybody's got to be so damn safe because we got raised by mothers. My fathers want us to be nice little good boys so we can give them some grandchildren and we can stay out of trouble keeping our nose clean, but they never told us about, sometimes, like the Spartan mothers used to tell their sons, come back with your shield on and boy, do not run. You do or die for the people. We don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some ideation that can be changed. Now, there is hope. I studied propaganda in college years ago, and there are some propaganda methods that we can use, that we have the ability to impose, that can turn things around in one extent to get us to think right. I recall the late 60s when there was the power fist and the afro and the beard, and everybody was going power to the people, right on. And then we went downhill from there, and we still haven't climbed back up to that plateau, which we needed to take off and go further from. But we didn't for a number of reasons. But those things became fads. They spread through the common lexicon, and we can do it again. We just have to start focusing with small groups who put stuff out there. They become popular. They expand. I conducted an experiment on Twitter. Twitter's got these algorithms that block you if you get to talking about trannies and all of this queer behavior that they have that they're trying to impose on the children. So I came up with Skip. All right? That's the camera. They want you to feel the rainbow, and people get it, but it escapes Twitter's algorithm. So now a whole bunch of people on Twitter are calling them Skittles and tasting the rainbow. So that is something that just I started, and it didn't take but 6 weeks, as predicted by the political science stuff I studied, is take hold.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that, and that was just an experiment I ran, and we can come up with other stuff like that as people, so we can start getting us to ideate ourselves to ideate properly.
Okay.
You gotta think right.
Sure. Let me go to Dr. Umar Johnson, because you mentioned trade and commerce. And earlier, Dr. Umar Johnson, you had mentioned the different trade skills that would get us into economic growth and development. So I want to hear from you on trade and commerce, and then I want us to transition to talking about your Black Parenting upcoming event and see how we can put something
Yes,
together.
indeed. Three
Yes,
quick points on the trade and commerce. Number one, when you look around most of America's major cities, nearly all of the new construction projects are being built by white, which has always been the case. But now we see increasingly Chinese, okay, and Mexican labor on these projects. So the Chinese and the Mexicans are coming in and getting the licenses as plumbers, electricians, carpenters, masons, and they're doing the work that black men used to do 75, 80 years ago. So we are literally being economically devastated in part due to the fact that the black community itself is promoting college over and above a trade skill education. So you need skills to pay bills, not information. You need skills to pay bills. College gives you information, but it is the trade programs that give you skills. So we need to definitely revert back to a skills-based education if we're going to save black men. There is a direct relationship between the amount of black men who started going to college instead of trade school and the amount of black men who are ending up in jail. A lot of these brothers who are being arrested for selling drugs, many of them have college degrees. Many of them are not high school dropouts. They have college degrees. So that's number one. And on the second point, the black America doesn't have a manufacturing sector.
Yes.
We produce nothing. And we might be the only ethnic group that doesn't produce anything. So we have to get a manufacturing sector, and then we need a distribution sector, because in manufacturing and distribution is where we can provide the most amount of jobs for our people.
Mm-hmm. Do we have a caller, Isaac? Okay, we're coming up against the clock, King of Pop. Go ahead, sir.
I enjoy the show today.
Thank you.
The only thing I have to say is the women theory has a lot to do with what's going on, and I agree with this 1970 welfare system. A lot of our sisters are welfare-minded, and believe it or not, there are women out there who would have kids, that have children, and would rather just raise their kids without that, even if the man is a good, strong black man, because she has been conditioned by the system. And I hope you all have this segment again, and I've learned a lot today.
Thank you. All right, Horace Taylor, then Omar, and then back to our esteemed guest. Go ahead, Horace Taylor.
Yes, I'd like to address one more time the black agenda. I'm curious from this standpoint, right? If there was a black presidential candidate speaking and talking to the black agenda, how do you think the black Americans will gravitate towards the candidate or not? Simply because that person is focused on the black agenda.
Okay, Omar?
You know, that wasn't for me. That's another Omar, correct? I'm Omar.
Well, you're Umar, and he's Omar. So here's the plan now. Horace, Omar, however many questions and comments they can put out there, then we'll go to Judge Joe Brown and back to you, and you may have 2 or 3 questions to address. How's that for a plan? Go ahead, Omar.
You know, every day I get people qualified to buy homes, and I'm going back to what Dr. Johnson said. There are people that have degrees and don't make any money.
Yeah.
But there are people that have skills and make twice as much money than the person with the degree. So when I was going into the prison, my thing was, let's get the skills and turn that into a business, because that way you ain't got to check a damn box that you've been locked up or whatever. You can go out there in the marketplace and market your skills and make more money than the person that went to Harvard and get a degree. I think we need to go back to that because back in my day, that's how it was. You got skills in auto mechanics, skills in carpentry, skills in plumbing and heating, and you can make good money, more than the teachers would make, and that's still true today. We got to go back to that and get out of this mindset that you got to accumulate $50,000 or $100,000 worth of student loans, and you can't do nothing with the paper that you walk out to school with.
And we're facing many tricks, is what I call them. Go ahead, Judge Brown. Judge Joe Brown.
Let me say something about that. I can do a whole lot of stuff with my hands, cast metal, make radios and stuff like that, work with leather. That's because I went to a school system. It was Los Angeles City Schools back when I went, and they tried to put all blacks in those things where we could work with our hands, and they said we wouldn't be as happy working with our minds. Now, it's good, but you have to be careful of the downside, which is they use it to sidetrack young blacks from being able to do the academic thing. They did everything they could. I even had a teacher in the 11th grade who wanted to flunk all of the black students taking an advanced composition class because he said we'd be happier working with our hands. So it's a solution, but it's also a trap. So you have to be aware of it. It's what you call the two-edged sword. It can swing both ways.
Okay.
So we have to keep that in mind. Yeah, vocational skills are important, but let's not take our minds, sabotage them, and put all of them in this kind of thing. We need it, but there have to be options.
I see. You're talking about striking a balance.
Yes.
Yeah, not too far either way. Now, Brother Horace Taylor wants to know, how do you think black people will respond to a presidential candidate talking about economic development? Was that it, economic development? And black agenda, was that it, Horace?
Correct, with the black agenda focused.
Black agenda focused. Go ahead, sir.
Well, in the scheme of things, whoever becomes president has to operate within a political landscape that demands certain give and take activity. So we won't get everything we want from anybody. You can't, because we're not the only group in this country. We are in a position where in about 30, 35 years, the situation will be such that there will no longer be a majority. So just think about that in terms of what the new landscape is going to look like politically. We'll probably be the third largest minority group behind. And that's going to cause a shift in dynamics. We have to start thinking appropriately, and that means we have to start countering some of this hip-hop thought process. I know people say that's the contribution of this generation of black folk is hip-hop, but, you know, we think in terms of music and sports. We don't think in terms of something else. We don't think in terms of sacrifice, hard work, and being out being a soldier for the cause. We don't think about that anymore.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Sir, here's my response. I think black American Africans would respond favorably to a national black presidential election as long as they are guaranteed that economic opportunity will come from it. And I don't think that would be a problem, because we would need to structure the process and the institution and the system in such a way that there would be a black tax. Every American African would voluntarily, commit to a black tax that would be paid to handle the salary of not only the president, but the entire cabinet, as well as any other officers and employees that we would need to take care of the business of black America. I think most of our people would really give money to a system that we create if they know that at least their children would benefit from it.
All right. And that makes makes me think about your parenting. I don't remember your exact words last week, Dr. Umar Johnson, but what is your 50-state parenting event you're working on? I think it's a great time to start talking about that.
Yes, sir. It is the 50-state NIBPA. NIBPA is National Independent Black Parent Association. 50-state NIBPA, Know Your Rights, Know Your Educational Rights, Black Parent Tour. I want to go to every state in the country, every single one, in 2020 to educate the black parents who care about protecting and saving their children on everything they need to know about mental health and miseducation from A to Z. That is vaccinations, that is autism, that is learning disability, that is IEP, that is psychological evaluation, that is diagnosis, that is DSM, that is change of placement, that is report cards, that is suspension, that is expulsion, it's due process, everything you need to know to protect your child from the mental health establishment and the miseducation establishment. I want to come and train you. And anyone listening to today's interview who would like to host the statewide training where they live at can get in contact with me through the website, drumarjohnson.com, by way of email, drumarjohnson@yahoo.com, or by way of telephone, 8444-Dr. Umar or 215-989-9858.
All right. You just mentioned some of the highlights, and I'll be in touch with both of you throughout the week, and want to learn more about that so that we may participate as well. We've got Cedric Curbison here. You good, Cedric?
Yes, sir.
Question to comment real quick?
Oh, man.
I know you have thoughts running through your head.
Oh, no, I'm enjoying the dialogue. I mean, it's just so much information being passed around the day.
Release some of those thoughts.
There we go.
All right, so now we've got Bill Cosby locked up. Well, we don't have him locked up, but the system has him locked up. I wanted, before we go, Judge Joe Brown and Dr. Umar Johnson, discuss Bill Cosby's situation briefly. And we have, how much time do we have, Cedric? It's now 11:17. We're coming close up against the clock. Back to you, Judge Joe Brown. What do you think about Bill Cosby? And what does it take to get him out, if you agree with that?
I thought the trial was a travesty, and I thought their whole process was a travesty, and it was an example of a modern-day lynch mob going forth. It was too much influence being had by outside interest in the outcome of the trial and then the trial proceedings itself. It was a disgrace to American law. It really was. The judge took months to do what he only had a small amount of time to do to make sure that Cosby spent time in jail. It was obvious that the court was biased and took the side of the screaming femmes out there who wanted Cosby's head. And in the background, you have to understand the big picture was this was the second time that Cosby was getting ready to acquire NBC, a major network entity, which would have given our African Americans, black folk, ADOS, a whole slew of options in terms of reaching out to the people. So this was not just a blow against Bill Cosby. This was not a blow for #MeToo. This was a direct attack and a direct assault and a huge blow against the interest of black people in this country. That's what it really was.
Okay. Dr. Umar Johnson, how do you see that situation? Does this represent the overall picture facing black men? Go ahead, sir.
Partly it does. But it's not so much about Bill Cosby's behavior as it was about our behavior. And what I mean by that is black America put up almost no fight to let the American power structure know that you will not do this to Bill Cosby. There was almost no resistance to it. I think black men were afraid because they did not want to be branded as being against women and supportive of sexual abuse. Black women were conflicted in their obligation to protect the black community, but at fact that Black America did not stand up in his defense publicly. That's number one. Number two, it also speaks to the fact that black men need to stay the hell away from white females. That's number two. And number three,
Praise the Lord.
Bill Cosby was lynched. The real reason Bill Cosby was lynched is not so much that he wanted to purchase the Nation Network, but the home that Bill Cosby and his wife own is sitting on top of what a lot of land developers believe is a large untapped oil reservoir. They want Bill Cosby to go broke, so he has to sell his home so they can acquire the home and exploit the oil that they believe is under the home. That's the real reason Bill Cosby is in jail.
And so this is Philadelphia. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And that's
Born
where.
and raised in Philly, me and Bill Cosby.
And we've got Cedric Curbison here too. He's from Philadelphia. Is that right, Cedric?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Born and raised, right?
I'm born and raised.
Been all over the travel, but right there, from right there, huh?
Oh yeah. Me and brother Omar been in each other's company a few times already.
Okay, good. Now you will see this, and when O.J. Simpson, oftentimes these guys, they get in trouble, and they're not saying this is what happened to Bill Cosby. I think Bill Cosby represented a good prototype for black men. But when you say this whole interracial thing is problematic for black people, let's hear from Judge Joe Brown on that.
Well,
How much time do we have?
look,
Go ahead, sir.
we've been here 400 plus years. There's been a consistent thing about where we're supposed to be in this society, and consistently we don't like it. I think one of the problems we have about getting out of it is that we serve as the vicarious scapegoat for America whenever it has troubled times. In other words, where things are going bad or they feel stressed out, they can always blame us and rally around their particular brand of flag, and that's what they do often. So we've got to do something to escape that, and I have some ideas, but it would take too long to lay them out, and basically it just boils down to being men and women as historically defined for all people. It's pretty universal, and it's gone back as long as anybody has recorded, and even before that. So we just have to get back to manhood, not just, but we need to get back to manhood, womanhood, nuclear family, because that's the foundation for everything. And if we don't have that on a solid basis, then nothing else is going to work because our foundation is weak.
Mm-hmm. And Omar Baruti, question for you. How would you sum up today's show?
It's an interesting, informative show that covers a topic that is needful. We have to face some things, and we're going to have to start being very critical so we can see what's actually gone wrong, so we'll know what to correct. Women are not going to be off limits, children are not going to be off limits, and certainly men aren't going to be off limits. But we have to criticize the whole big picture so we can know what to do to turn it around. And it's going to be nasty, but we just have to do it.
Okay, we've got a few more minutes left. Omar, I was asking you that question because the next time we have these two experts on, we've spent the last two shows analyzing with some solutions, but the next time I hope that we can go into more solution-oriented show the next time. So that's why I posed that question to you. What do you think?
You know, we're losing our children, especially our black male children. And we need to do something about it. I mean, we got to take some drastic actions. And the things in the past that have been put in place are still operating today. That's why we have such a high incarceration rate, a high unemployment rate. And with robots coming in and taking the menial labor jobs, it's going to get worse. So we can't wait any longer. We got to do something now. We got to put a plan together now and move forward now. We can't wait for some, mythical person to come and save us. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. And so you're no longer going into the prisons teaching. Is that right?
I'm going back into the prison.
We'll be going back.
I'm going back into the prison teaching.
And you speak.
Because my son got his PhD degree in chemical biology, but I know everybody's not made to do that.
Right.
There are too many people in that prison, and some have gotten out. They're truck drivers, they're plumbers, they're doing things because inside the prison setting, they were inspired to, hey, I can do something else with my, with my time, and they made something out of themselves. I love that, and they call me and tell me what they're doing. I love that, but everybody's not made for the academics. And if you're not made for it, don't worry about it. This world still has a place for you to operate and make a good living for yourself and your family.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what has been your individual success rate?
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
I stay at a 10. I mean, when I was going, no, I didn't realize how much I was going. I was going to the prison 100 times a year.
Okay.
And I was going to any prison that would let me come in and teach the business class, how to set it up, how to incorporate it, ideas on how to structure it, how to go to the marketplace and make it work. Even my wife, I mean, she's in business. And I go everywhere I can think to go and inspire people to try to make them, come on, let's do this thing, because you can do it.
All right, we're up against the clock, and that was an individual question. And let me hear, we've got 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes, real quick. Strength in numbers. Dr. Umar Johnson, that was an individual question. But do you agree with the concept or the ideal cliche or whatever you want to call it of strength in numbers? And what are your thoughts, a couple of minutes each of you, on building numbers? We're talking about human beings, black people as resources, strength in numbers. Real quick, sir. Dr. Umar Johnson. What happened to him? He's gone, Isaac? We lost him?
He's still there. I don't know what happened to him.
He's still on the phone. He haven't hung up, so unless he's stepped away from the phone.
Okay.
Judge Joe Brown's still on the line.
All right. Judge Joe Brown, can you talk about that before we go?
Briefly?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Sure you can.
See, it requires H-A-R-D work, hard work. And if you walk around, you hear too often the youth talking about how they're going to make it the easy way. They don't realize that's the hard way, and there's nothing that's going to come to anybody, rich or broke, besides the hard way.
Tell it.
Hard as the devil being broke, but it's a lot of hard work not being broke.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the hard any way you do it, H-A-R-D. Either hard time or hard work. The choice is yours, and for the youth that may be listening to this, it's called K through 12, kindergarten through 12th grade. You get that age, and the doors will be open. They may not be open very far. You might have to kick them all the way open, but at least they won't be locked to you. So K through 12, get it together. You know, I don't care whether you think teachers on your agenda or not. Get that magic they have for you. That's the foundation.
All right, did we lose Dr. Umar Johnson?
No, he's on it.
He's still alone.
Dr. Umar Johnson.
Let's see if I can get it real quick. Let's keep on talking.
All right, final thoughts. Horace Taylor, 30 seconds each. Omar and then Cedric, 30 seconds. Go ahead, Horace.
So final thoughts, and in particular with the question about strength in numbers.
Yes.
As a retired military guy, I happen to know that, we have those elite forces in the military. We don't, in the elite community, we don't need large numbers to do what we do. However, when it comes to civil matters, at least in the legislative arena, that's where we must have those large numbers.
All right, we're up against the clock. Let's make way for the next show. Thank you very much.
Now the man in my house is so big and strong. He goes to work each day, he stays all day long. He comes home each night looking tired and beat. He sits down at the dinner table.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Love Time Show on today, here each Sunday from 10 to 11:30. Coming up at 11:31, we'll have the voices of New Africa with the one and only Mr. Prophecy. Yeah. All my free